Joining us now to discuss these stories, this evening's political panels. Sarah Chamberlain, President CEO of the Republican Main Street Partnership, is with us, and Matt Bennett, Vice President co-founder of Third Way, our Democratic strategist. It's great to see both of you. Welcome back. Your beloved White House is coming down, it looks like, at least some of it, this evening. The New York Times with an update on this. Upon further evaluation, the White House determined it was cheaper and more structurally sound to demolish the East Wing, the entire thing, to build the ballroom rather than to build an addition. Don't you have to ask permission before you start knocking the building down?
I mean, this is about number 170 on the list of things he was supposed to ask permission to do. Okay. But of course, I mean, this is insane. And doing it during a government shutdown, like they're claiming it's private money. We don't know whose money. But it is a bad look when you've got people, literally federal employees at the White House working without pay. Why are they doing this at all? Why are they doing this now?
Look at this. These are the renderings. If you're with us on Bloomberg TV or on YouTube, we actually have the architect's designs that he's showing with the NATO Secretary General. This doesn't really apply to him.
Joe and Sarah, it was interesting, as Joe just read, that they're calling for a pause. Mm-hmm. It's done.
It's done.
Like, what do you pause?
Yeah.
You can't just leave the building like that.
No, of course not. And technically, he does not have to ask permission.
Yeah.
Other presidents have done changes, and they don't ask permission. It was a little bit of a surprise, certainly, to see the East Wing. But we've all been, I'm sure, in the East Wing, and we've been in that ballroom, and it is a little too small. Let's admit to that. So here we go, and it's going to be big, and there are a lot of corporations that have funded this. They were at the dinner a couple weeks ago.
We did have a sense of where this money is coming from, right? Harold Hamm, it's Alphabet, it's Meta.
Exactly.
There were quite
they're
a number
doing it
of
on
folks.
free. I mean, they're happy to support it, and he's right. Democrats will be using it as well.
I think I said $250 million, right? Does the president deserve credit for having this privately funded, not using taxpayer money?
No, the president doesn't deserve any credit for this.
You see conflict of interest?
Yes, of course. I mean, look, I'm sure these companies thought it was a good business decision to try to, butter up the president with more money. That is what they've been doing very aggressively over the course of the last 8 months. And this is just another example of that. Also, it's going to be gross. Like, this is a Versailles-like gold ballroom. That is not what the American presidency should look like. And all the gold that he's larded into the Oval Office and along the breezeway, and the changes they made to the Rose Garden, this is not what anyone voted for.
So, Sarah, let's talk optics for a moment. I mean, you do have the shutdown optics, but let's even put that aside. Now you have the president actually showing the renderings in his office during very high-level meetings on very important foreign topics. Republicans just have to keep answering questions about this when they have enough to answer questions about with the government shutdown.
They do, but they kind of keep rolling with it. They're used to it. This is the second time he's been elected. They learned from the first time. They just keep rolling and like, okay, what's next? Maybe he could have presented the drawings in a different format, maybe not during that meeting, but it is nice to finally get to see the drawings because most people had not seen any of the architecture. So it would be done. It has to be done during government shutdown. Bad timing, I admit, but in order to have it done during his presidency, you had to start it.
They better get going.
Right, because we don't know when this shutdown's going to end.
Well, so let's talk about that. I mean, this is the story beyond the ballroom that's captivating Washington on day 22. No off-ramps. But the conversation in the last 24 hours has evolved back to, or maybe you think devolved, to the idea of a full-year CR. John Thune suggested earlier this week that might be the only way out. You know the White House is comfortable with it. And remarkable to see Jason Smith today, who chairs the House Ways and Means Committee, fall in behind this. And he says it's not his preference, but this is probably the only way to avoid rolling shutdowns for the foreseeable future. Where's the Main Street Partnership?
So the Republican Main Street Partnership members do not want to do a one-year CR. They will if they have to, but they really want to get back to work, have the Democrats come back to work, get government open, vote on ACA, because most of the Main Street members do support an ACA fix, and then go back to what's called regular order, go back to the appropriation bills, and move the agenda forward. If we sit here with a year-long CR, I think that would be a disaster. But we may have to.
You know, we had Senator Cortez Masto on earlier. She is trying to get other Democrats to get on board and, call this shutdown over. She doesn't seem to be doing very well with this at all. And she seemed to say that they can do it all at the same time. They're not doing it all at the same time.
They're not. And look, if Sarah was in charge of the House Republican Conference, I think we could solve this fairly easily. Unfortunately, Mike Johnson is in charge. And they're not, the Speaker's just not going to do that. They're not going to put an ACA fix, on the table in ways that Democrats can trust in any way that it's actually going to happen. So I think we are in for a lot longer of this shutdown. I don't know what happens after the premium notices go out on November 1st. That may be a moment where the Democrats just say, look, you own this now, and open up the government.
Well, what would Chuck Schumer do with the idea of a year-long CR?
I don't know. I mean, we are in such uncharted territory. I think he thinks it's appalling also, just like the rational people in the Republican conference. But it may be the only way out of this.
Do you think the only way out of this, though, also maybe you look at November, but if holiday travel is just a mess?
Yes.
I mean, because that is a bipartisan issue when people are traveling.
Right. And Thanksgiving's a big holiday that people travel. I think it will be a huge problem if it's not going smoothly. They will start to complain. They will start to call their members of Congress and say, we need to fix this. Then you'll see action. I also think November 4th could be a turning point. Let's see what happens with Virginia and the Prop 50 in California, Virginia's governor's race and New Jersey's governor's race. If the Democrats succeed in all three, I think you may see some momentum going their way. They may be like, okay, let's negotiate. And they need a victory. That could be their victory, and then they're willing to negotiate with ACA and get the government reopened. We'll see.
Democrats are filibustering this legislation to pay military service members and accepted federal employees, those who have been deemed essential. What's the purpose of that when so many campaign ads are going to be focused on these votes?
It's a very tough vote.
Yeah.
But I think the Democrats' view is that is just a way around the pain of the shutdown. And the whole idea of a shutdown is to cause pain for the president. And, of course, it's horrible that our troops are going without pay. No one wants that. No Democrats want that. There's been some outrageous lies being told by Republicans about Democrats hating the troops, which is despicable and untrue. But I think inevitably pain is part of the deal when you shut the government down.
Because the ads are going to say Democrats voted however many, 16 times to not pay the troops. That's tough politics.
I've already written that ad.
Yeah.
So
it's coming.
It's coming.
What time does it begin airing?
Exactly.
Okay.
Soon.
This is also at a time where North Carolina today joined the states in redistricting. So when you talk about campaign ads, well, let's just talk about what the districts are going to be. Where does this end?
I have no idea, because Maryland's going to do it. Obviously, Prop 50 in California. Right now, it looks like they may be ahead a little bit. We'll have to see what the outcome is. I have no idea where this is going to end. If they can pick up a seat here and there, they're certainly going to do it. Both Republicans and Democrats. New York's going to try it. So
well, there's a lot of red
it's
on
a
that
lot of
map
red.
that we were just
There's
showing.
more red than blue.
Well, so yeah,
absolutely.
What did Democrats do with
question.
this? How do you outmaneuver Republicans on the map? Is it possible?
No,
not
it's not possible. All we can do is try to mitigate the damage. And let's be clear about who started this. This was a Trump initiative starting in Texas, and that has morphed into many other states.
Yeah.
They're putting enormous pressure on Indiana, Missouri, Florida, elsewhere. Democrats have no interest in doing any of this, but it's a requirement because we desperately need to get the branch of government back.
Do you think we'll see more of this year? I mean, do you think it just goes and goes and goes?
There are some rate limiting factors. It's very hard to do it in certain places. New York is really hard because of the laws there, but I think there's going to be a real effort to do it. Illinois is a big sticking point now between Hakeem Jeffries, who's trying to get them to do it, and some lawmakers there. Incumbents in these states do not like redistricting because they're mostly in safe districts, and their districts get less safe.
Yeah.
All right, we'd like to thank both of you for being with us. Sarah Chamberlain and Matt Bennett, thanks so much for this panel today. And check out the Washington Edition newsletter on the terminal and online.